Some tips and tricks about digital shit. Digital shit. Let's see. So first of all, to become an expert at anything means you know a range of information and techniques. Not specifically one thing. How do you get that? By learning knowledge. By learning knowledge. So example, when you're trying to become an expert at technology, right? Computers and phones and software. When you learn to play a game, you learn the controller, you learn the display, you learn a little bit of the hardware, the graphics, the processor, the memory, right? The basics. Then you turn into a PC game, or you change consoles, and you learn the specifications for those consoles, or the specs of that PC, the basic specs. And then you're considering buying a new piece of hardware, and then you compare specs. And then you watch some tutorials about reviews about the top 10 or the best available in 2025, 2026, 2027. So you learn more like that. And then you transition to video editing. And you start off with basic, upload and cut and sound. And then you get more advanced and you subscribe to a premium software. And you watch more tutorials. And then you go, that's video editing. And then you go into Photoshop. And then you go into podcast. And then you go into screen recording. And then you go into streaming. And then you go into modifying your computer. And then you go into coding. And then you go into software. And then you go into iPads and MacBooks and laptops and features. And so you learn, as you're learning one thing at a time, newer things to pick up become easier and easier. And then you become a master of all of it. And then that's what an engineer is. An engineer is whenever something new comes along, you can pick it up. You can pick it up something new and understand like how to navigate through it and how to optimize its potential. That's what an engineer is. It's not just someone who knows how to do one thing. You don't just do one thing. You do many things. And the best way to become a practice engineer is to take all you've learned in school and expand on that when you go out. So when you graduate. So review your courses. If you don't have the notebooks, you don't need the notebooks. You can do it on Google, YouTube, AI. And you review these courses, the knowledge, example, computer hardware, software, electromagnetics. Oh, that's for me, electrical engineering. You can be chemical, civil, mechanical. And you review the hard courses. You make notebooks, you review your courses. And then you expand into your industry or just your leisure time. Crap that's like related to technology, because engineers is about technology and science. So you learn about science and technology. That's what an engineer is. So that's how you become an expert, knowing a range of crap instead of just one thing. And you're able to pick up new things in that field. Because once you're expert, you pretty much know the entire field. The only thing would be when some type of new hardware comes along, like a new device, and you got to familiarize yourself with that device. That's something entirely new, some new discovery. That's something entirely new that you familiarize yourself with. And then you become an expert at continuing. So that being said, let's go into the fucking computer. What is a computer? So there's two things about a computer which you need to have a fast computer. You need a processor and you need RAM. Processor and RAM. How do you find this stuff? Well, if you go into the My Computer, right, you should have My Computer shortcut on your desktop. If you don't, somehow get to the file, on the taskbar there's a folder. Go to the taskbar, click the folder icon, and go to my computer, this PC, right click, and show more options, and there should be a create desktop icon. I already have it on the desktop, so it's not appearing, but there should be a add to desktop or pin to taskbar, right? So you got your My Computer. So if you go into My Computer, what you basically see is your overall memory. That's the hard disk. 500 gigabytes is pretty much the minimum for a computer. 500 gigabytes goes up to 1 terabyte and then 2 terabyte. You have a hard disk. That's the hard disk. That's the grand storage. Now, it's probably not mechanical memory. Like, mechanical memory used to be HDD, and that is like slower to read and write. Faster memory used to be SDD, which is what it is now. That's like electric memory. And reason that was not reused a lot was because it was expensive. But this computer is cheap as fuck, and it's not cheap, it's like $1,000, but it's got 500 gigabytes of SDD, and you can get 1 terabyte of SDD for now like $800. So that's not a problem. What you need is your RAM and your processor. So how do you do that? This is how you do that. You go to Google and you type in how to check RAM and processor on desktop. Why the fuck is my camera like this? I don't know. It's a CAA. It's a fucking CAA. And it tells you settings, system, about. Settings. So you go to your settings. Settings. It's being stupid. Settings, system. How the fuck do I get the system? System. And there should be an about. Alright, okay. That's it. Now, there is another form of, if you type like system information, you can find every single component of the PC in detail. The exact manufacturer and how many cores the processor has. And the display driver, the RAM. So all of that you can find with system info, or like search in the taskbar, system, device manager. You got device manager and you got system info. So system and device manager. And you have your control panel. And you also have the console, but console is just for software geeks. Mainly just your search, Microsoft search, device manager, control panel, and system. And so if you go into this settings, system, about, shows my processor. AMD Ryzen 5900 HX with Radeon graphics, 3.3 gigahertz. That's a speed. That's a decent speed. 3.3 gigahertz. I bought a new fucking PC. I didn't check the processor. It was like 1.4 gigahertz. That's garbage. You need at least 2 gigahertz to be a decent processor. This one's 3. Preferably 3. 4 and above is gaming. 3 can handle games. 2 is the minimum. Anything below 2 is not capable to handle 2026. So this processor is 3.3 gigahertz. Perfect. RAM 32 gigabytes. That's exactly how much you need. Exactly. 64 can overdo it because your computer takes time to sort through the RAM. So if you have too much RAM, which is 64, it might even be slower, depending on how fast the processor is. Where 32 is the sweet spot. 32 is the sweet spot. Unless you're doing heavy like rendering, which is just one simple procedure, then a lot of RAM is easy to handle for the computer, and 64 gigabytes of RAM is faster for like just one procedure. But generally, 64 gigabytes of RAM can be too much for the PC to handle. 32 is perfect. 16, kind of low. So 32 gigabytes of RAM, 500 gigabytes hard disk SSD, to a terabyte to 2 terabytes, 3 gigahertz processor. 64-bit operating system is everything that is right now. That means when your computer stores its software and shit, it can store it in 32 bits, which is this long, or in 64 bits, which is this long. It doesn't change how much total memory there is, just the way it's stored. 32 bits or 64 bits per fucking data. So that matters when you're installing programs. Are you going to install 32-bit or 64-bit? Almost everything is 64-bit today. Now, one thing you can install is TreeSize. TreeSize is free. You install it, you run as administrator, and it will break down all your folders in gigabytes. And you can see where your biggest files are in gigabytes. TreeSize, free. That's really all you need to know a computer. You got your control panel, you got your settings, you got your device manager, and in your settings you have stuff like your background, your personalization, your password, your accounts, your power and display options, your screensaver, your login options. Now, when you get this PC, right, one thing I like to do is organize your desktop so you have all the icons and shortcuts, and then in a folder, an Excel file, write down all these icons. So when you update your PC, or if it crashes or you switch to a different PC, you can go through your document and see what you had installed, everything you had installed. Now you can create backups of PCs, but it's not really necessary to create a backup of a PC. What you can do instead is use cloud. Get a good password manager. Password for email, socials, cloud, antivirus, and your individual apps. So you get password manager, and you create another document for your expenses and your income and your budget. And on the cloud, you back up your documents and files, which means you got to pay for cloud storage. It's a lot easier and more secure and more intuitive than creating a PC backup and backing it up on a hard disk. Now, if you have a backup of your shit on a hard disk, you literally have your backup. Whereas when it's on the cloud, you don't have it. It's on a cloud. But that's the way the world works today. It's all cloud. And it's so easy. It's like it's organized and icon and preview, and you can even access it on the cloud. So if you have a PC and not your computer, you can log into the cloud and access your shit. You go to work, you can access your stuff from the cloud. It's like email. So you should be using cloud. You got Microsoft Cloud, Google Cloud, and Apple Cloud. You should be using those, all three, if you want. Now, as for the apps on your PC, Microsoft Office, it's cheap now. If they don't increase the price, it's cheap. It's like $120 a year. You get your email. You get 100 gigabytes of cloud. You get Excel, PowerPoint, Word, OneNote, and Access. OneNote is for like drawings, and Access is a database. You probably won't use those, but you will use Excel, PowerPoint, and Word from Microsoft, and email. So that's your Microsoft Office. Then if you have your music software, you have your Ableton or your Apple music editing software, or your Microsoft music editing software, which is Pro Tools. So you got Pro Tools on Windows, and you got crap on Apple. So you got your antivirus as well. I use Bitdefender. You got your VPN. You got your banking and financial security. You got your video editing and streaming shit. So video editing, streaming, record your screen, screenshots. So you can always, and some sort of photo editing, even Paint, just Paint. Calculator, Paint, photo editing, video editing, music editing. Get the free trial, screen recording, screenshots. Some sort of programming if you want, if you're a programmer. Your banking software and trading, investing apps. Your games, your poker, your chess, your flash games, your big games. Now, thinking about games is you always got to monitor how much gigabytes they take up, because games take up like 100 gigabytes, which is a fifth to 10% of your total memory. So make sure you're aware of how much games memory you're taking up. All games, and photo editor and video player. Photo player and video player. That's all I have. And then Adobe as well. Adobe photo PDF reader. And then I got my Microsoft browser and my Google Chrome. That's it. That's all I have on my PC. And that's about it. Your phone is a little more complicated because phones are not as advanced as PC. I mean, the PC almost never crashes PCs, but phones always software always crashes on phones. So phone is a little more complicated. Plus, you don't have an input device. You gotta use your fucking fingers. So the phone, you gotta know where the settings are, storage of your apps, your software, organize everything, your password managers, your apps, your identity logins, your if it was just social media, it would be easy, but it's not just social media. It's YouTube as well, and uploading and streaming and text and logging in and news and files and clips and links and recordings and videos and storage and albums and apps and data. Your phone's a whole fucking computer that you use much more frequently than a computer. And it's on a little device this big. So you gotta be handy with your phone. Plus messages. Plus it's a fucking phone. So you got messages, you got DMs on all the different apps, screenshots, photos, privacy, third-party content, whatever, cookies. So phone, you gotta learn how to use all that stuff. But the computer, I just summarized everything there is on the computer. And the best way to navigate everything you're doing is to have your procedures and your routine in documents, PowerPoint or Word or Excel, on Google Cloud or Microsoft Cloud. That way you can keep track of what the fuck is going on with your digital activity, where your albums are, where your documents are, what your budget is, what your apps are, what your passwords are, what your friends are, what their birthdays are, what your managers, what your phone numbers are, what your contact info is, whose account is what, backups and all that stuff. Keep that on documents organized in cloud. That's really the key. That's really the key, is to have everything in cloud. To have everything in cloud. Cooking recipes, that's not digital, but quotes and to-do lists and emails and all that stuff on the cloud, and messages and tasks and events coming up and calendar. And I used to, when I was in university, write my shit on a pen and paper calendar, and then I started using Google Calendar on my phone. I put like doctor's appointments, when I changed my laundry, when I changed my sheets, when I got a haircut. I put all that in my, when I changed my filters on my water or air conditioner or heater or whatever, when I changed the filters. Cooking, cleaning, not cooking, but cleaning. Checkups with shit around the house, or bills when they're due, and birthdays, all that stuff in the calendar and the documents. So it's all about having these cloud documents and investing as well, and procedures and theses and tips and tricks. And it's best because you're making it yourself. So you're making it yourself, and you're making it yourself, which is, it's your own knowledge. It's your own knowledge. So it's your own knowledge. So it is very helpful to you. It's very helpful to you because it's what you can understand. It's what you can understand, and you can always color code it, layout, organize, fonts and bolds and italics and colors and pictures and images and drawings and labels and organizations. So the cloud is everything that you have. So, and you have multiple clouds, and because especially you need a cloud because your phone is always going to run out. Your phone's going to run out of room for your photos and videos at least. So you got to upload that on the cloud and then free up memory on your phone, unless you get a new phone and now you got two phones and all your shit's on this old phone. But if you want to access it from the new phone, you got to put it on the cloud. And what you can do is you can have one folder which is like important shit that you got to keep on your device. So you keep that in one folder on your phone. Now it's not going to let you delete everything except for that folder. So what you do is you keep it on the cloud on that folder, and then once you sync your device and erase everything to free up memory, you go to this folder and you download everything onto the device from that folder. So that folder is stuff on the cloud, which you're going to always download onto your device so you can use offline. However, whenever you free up memory, it wipes everything. So you got your folders that you want to keep on a device, so you make a folder for that, which is cloud material. And your albums, your photo albums, your notes, right? Your notes and your photo albums as well. I like to label vacations by literally in my phone album, vacation, location, and the date. Location, country, city, and the date. That's it. And now you got memories of all the places you visited, and take photos of the places that you visit. And a budget and expenses and income. Make it yourself in Excel. You can use my template. You can make your own. Your budget and your expenses. So you can always try. If you make budget and expenses Excel file by yourself, you will save yourself 50% of your money. 50% of your spending you will save. It's crazy. I saved like 80%, but I was really splurging. But if you think you're saving, and then you make a budget and expenses sheet, and over like 6 months you keep updating it and fine tuning it, after a year you will have cut down 50% of your expenses, bills, subscriptions, spending. You will cut down 50% of your spending if you make a budget and expenses spreadsheet. And that's about it. Then you got your screensavers and your screenshots from the internet. Just make sure when you share that crap, it's not copyright. The good thing about AI is when you make AI, unless it's about another real life figure, it's never copyright because it's kind of your work as well. So AI is never copyright. But when you get other people's photos and shit like that, it's always copyright. Right? And then I have art. So drawing and coloring and I did painting. Art. Like that picture. Artwork. And that about does it. That's my techniques for everything I do with a phone and a computer and a video game console. This didn't go into how to use the streaming software or the recording software or the editing software, but just general computer or phone gaming console setup and hardware specifications, and how very critical the clouds are: your Google Cloud, Apple Cloud, and Microsoft Cloud, and email and password manager, and your financial institutions. All right, so kick it 1 2 till next time. Yeah.